He understands your orphan with his gun. Wow, wow. Crying like a fire in the sun, sun. Look out, the saints are coming through. And it's all over now, baby blue.
Dr. Kelley Wear, it's a pleasure to be able to interview you today. I know that you're a hand and wrist surgeon and an expert in surviving stalking, which is a little bit of a spooky topic. How did this story unfold for you?
I had a booming surgery practice, very successful in Boulder, and I was getting ready to go on a book tour. I'd worked 10 years on a memoir. I had everything lined up, had a publicist, it had been edited, it was ready to get published, and then the stalking started. So I was a victim of a predatory stalker. I had no idea what was happening, why it was happening, and everything I turned to was terrifying. There was nothing empowering about it. You go to YouTube and you type, why am I being stalked, or what can I do? And it was just terrible things like, oh, you're going to have to change your life. You're going to have to move across the country, become anonymous. And there were no consequences for the man doing it. And all the consequences fell on me. And there was really nothing that assured me that I was going to be safe. And I decided to create a blueprint for survival for people so that they would not have to go through this the way that I did. That's how the blueprint for survival came about.
And it's a pretty amazing and thorough plan. You have, of course, survived it, and I'm so happy to be talking to you in great health and resilience. Tell me about the blueprint.
This terror stage is the first one. You want to get out of that as soon as possible. And there's several reasons why it's terrifying. Like, usually people have never gone through anything like this. You don't know what the boundaries are with this person. You just know that he's mentally unstable. Is he going to run you off the road? Is he going to bomb your office? And so there are real reasons why this is a terrifying time.
And that's an overwhelming time because you're probably just becoming aware that the stalking
and
is
just
happening.
trying to figure out, like, what do I do? And so the next stage is just all of the stages, like just one after the other, really fit. And the next one is the quest for safety. So you immediately try to find out how to keep yourself safe from this. And that's when you can hire a private investigator. You get the cameras up. You've got to up your security for sure. Usually a camera system, motion detectors, and maybe a private investigator. And that's when all of that starts happening. A lot of research is, what can I do? How do I keep myself safe? And that's the second stage. Then what I call the second hit is the third stage, and it's a devastating stage. So there's a continuum of reaction. And if you're lucky, you'll have some strong figure that comes in. Like, I talked to one survivor she was 16 when it started happening to her, and her dad jumped in and said, oh, no, you're not going to do this. And so her stalking situation ended at the third stage, she didn't get the second hit.
Well, and the second hit, that comes from your medical practice, right? It's a medical term where you might be doing well, and then the second hit comes in. Something
I named it the second hit
because
absolutely. So what happens if you have somebody that has sustained a trauma in a medical model, and then they get an infection or something, then the second hit is going to be a lot more powerful than if they just had gotten the infection. So they've already been primed for this second hit. And so that's why I call it the second hit, because like you have the stalking, so you're vulnerable, and then bam, you find out who your friends are. So the second hit is when you reach out and you're expecting a village to come. Oh my God, this guy's stalking me. Let me just call people and get safe. And nobody shows up, or you don't feel like anybody's showing up for you.
This is where gaslighting can come in big time, isn't it?
Yeah, so hopefully you don't get a gaslighter. I did get one out of thousands of people, because I had started going to social media because the police weren't helping me. They're on a continuum of 3 different reactions in the second hit. Either people disappear, you just don't see them. somebody that I raised my kid with, her kid,
Disappeared
was
from your life.
nowhere to be found once this happened. And then you go up the continuum, and then discounting the experience is the second thing. And this is very common among the police. Like, oh, this isn't really happening. Oh, you're imagining. And it's complicated because you are very paranoid in this time. You don't know where he's at. And so you give one false report to the police, and they will jump on this. Like, oh, I thought there was somebody in my yard last night. And then if it turns out, or there was somebody at my porch once at 4 o'clock in the morning that I didn't recognize. And so I called the police. And this was like a week after he had started showing up at my house with a laser light, trying to lure me out. And so they took that and ran with it. Oh, she's imagining all this. And then each police report, they read the first police report, and then gradually, like, you just lose all credibility with the police. And then the final, the most toxic, is the gaslighting. And that is when somebody, like, it's very harmful to you. They'll accuse you of lying, or it's very, very toxic, and it's a form of psychological abuse. It's really one of the most worst.
Really challenging stuff to navigate.
Yeah, like, you don't need this at this time. And the thing is, if I only had one person that did that to me, by then thousands of people knew it was going on. But the person that did it to me was somebody I had known from birth, and that I really, really thought was my support. So there's a very high suicide rate among people who are being stalked, and I'm convinced it's during this phase. I think if the village really did show up for us, that we would never have suicidal thoughts, or you wouldn't have this going on. But it takes, if one toxic person, you've got to cut them out of your life. It doesn't matter what their relationship was to you before the stalking. If somebody does this to you, they're very dangerous, they're weakening you, and you've got to get them out of your life. You do not have time for somebody like that.
Well, and you navigated all this on your own, reading all the books, like you said, were available, that were probably informative but traumatizing.
Yeah.
So, I really respect what you're doing in creating a plan for people to navigate this.
Thank you. I would say that it's a very dark time when you're at the second hit, and it feels like that there's no light, and especially if you have a gaslighter. But you have to remember, self-kindness is the first antidote to every stage, and also you're making room for the people that are going to come in and support you. If you don't have any in yet, they will come, I promise you. You're clearing out the people that you don't need in your life anyway. And you're making room for people that love you, that support you, that empower you. The next stage I call the resolve stage, and I think it's with you all the time. You either have decided you're going to survive it, or you're not going to survive. You have to find the resolve within yourself, and I think you start tapping into that, oh, wait, I'm not going to let him, he doesn't deserve my life. I've worked really hard to build my life up, and usually these people are losers and cowards, and they don't have anything going for them. And I don't know, there's just certain resolve that comes in that you tap into, and that's when you decide that you're going to survive. And I think that's when things start changing. The next step is becoming the watcher, I call it. And now you're starting to put space between you and what's happening to you. Because the first 3 phases, you're totally in your mind. You're trying to figure things out. You're totally in your head, and it's always a bad place to be. When you put space between what's happening and what you're experiencing and who you are, and you're actually watching, and you're starting to learn his boundaries. Like, okay, well, no, they don't have boundaries. That's probably a bad word. You're starting to learn their limits. Like, what will they do? What won't they do?
Learn their behaviors,
Yeah, so like this went on for me for 8 years. So by year 3 or 4, I knew he wasn't going to bust into the office. I knew that he put a lot of his focus and his needs were to do this without being detected and to get away with it. And I go into in the YouTube channel all these different types of stalkers, and that's a big part of the game, is how they're going to escape. They actually put a lot of effort into this fantasy of how they're going to do this, carry it out, and escape. And so I just started realizing where he would go and where he wouldn't go. And so and then you start getting really empowered.
Yeah, as you're making space.
You're making space, and also all this time you're also building your self-defense skills. You're building your ability to protect yourself, And so you're starting to get empowered in these later stages.
Kelley, this is some strong stuff. I mean, even in the beginning, and then the second hit, my gosh.
Yeah.
I love the idea of resolve and becoming the watcher. Those really resonate with me. And then your idea of summoning, this is also really interesting to me, because here you're gathering your resources, your energies.
Yes.
Right? You tell me about this.
So summoning is what I think this is so it's much easier if somebody has a wisdom tradition where they believe there's a power greater than themselves. Because at some point I realized if this is a game, and it is to that person, that you're winning it. Like I'm winning this game. I didn't ask to be in this game, but I've got this, and I don't know why it's happening, but a certain acceptance of reality. This is what is. You accept it. Well, I was literally looking out the windows, seeing him on the sidewalk in a hoodie, like the stereotypical stalker, and I had started putting art all over my house to elevate the space, and I just started visualizing women dancing around me that had already passed, and then I got really into it. I started drumming and creating a little ritual of bringing all of those people who were no longer here, that could not defend themselves, and there was something about making it bigger than myself, and I lit candles, I chanted, I had devotional music on, and it was at this point that the second to the last stage started coming in, and that's the switch where, well, I'm okay with this. Like this is I'm actually living at a higher place than I was when I started. I would not, had I not been challenged in this way, I would have never reached this level of life that I live in a very high state. I don't have toxic people in my life because I had to get rid of them. I feel much more confident in my abilities to take care of myself, and it was because of all these stages that I went through, and that's when the gift comes in. And you can't really say at the beginning that there's nothing positive that it seems like that's going to come out of it, but I really feel like a more integrated human being as a result. And the blueprint will help people get there faster. You know, it's a resource. It's a resource. People can use it if they want, but it really does. If you follow it, you'll find that your life is much more integrated and whole and empowered than it was when you started.
Well, and I mean, that's an amazing transmutation. I think, it was one of the words, or, alchemy,
Yes.
of changing the poison into something that is both awareness and calm and perspective. Because in the beginning, I would imagine hypervigilance, even paranoia is paramount to the experience.
Yes.
But at this final stage, after the switch, you've taken your power back, and you know how to expect, how to protect, and how to persevere in your life without all of this dragging you down. I mean, it sounds like a superpower.
Well, it kind of is, and I use that word alchemy a lot. So I'm glad you brought it up, because I'm always trying to take something negative and turning it into a positive thing, and that's exactly what this experience was. Like, I had to figure out, well, why this is happening to me? What can I do with it to make it benefit the world and benefit other people? And so I feel very strongly about this, that it needs to come out. It's become a real passion of mine. I'm driven, and I'm safe. Like, if anything happens to me now, if I disappear or, God forbid, become a victim of homicide, then this over 300 pieces of video evidence will go out to media outlets all across Europe and the United States. It's all set up that within 2 weeks that will go out, and so then everyone will know who did it, and it will get out to the world. So it's a win-win situation. I feel like my life is very, very abundant and whole, and it's a lot of it. This experience has really elevated me to a higher place.
It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
I mean, I hope this is a real transmission of hope and power and peace of mind for people that are experiencing this awful trauma.
You have a lot of support. You may not feel it, but all of us who have been through it, we want to be there for people that are going through it, or at least I do, and the vast majority of people, once you go through something like this, you get tapped in and you want to help others that get through it, because it's a very, very difficult situation. So in a way, I feel like it's good that it happened to me because I was strong enough to get through it. At an earlier time in my life, I probably would be dead, quite frankly. You know, if I had met him in the 80s, when you have a lot less self-esteem when you're younger, and so the fact that it happened to me after I was more grounded and I had lived a little bit, I had more life experience, I think that went a long way.
Well, I think the blueprint can really be a ladder of strength for people to both recognize the gravity of the stage that they're in and look towards the stages of regaining their agency and making the switch, you know, getting their power back in what could be a really powerless situation.
Yeah, and I do give like little exercises that you can do at each one to help you go to the next level. And I can just say what worked for me, my experience, and hopefully that'll be helpful for somebody else.
I think it certainly will be. Kelley, thank you for putting your heart into this and sharing it. It's a really amazing offering, and I hope that you find a great community and a great audience to support it because they need your support.
Well, thank you so much, Doug. Really appreciate it.
And it's all over now.